When we're talking about dysmenorrhea or PMDD, we are talking about something hormonal in nature that is damaging you. Now, does that mean it's just change your hormones, takes birth control? Or does that mean actually find out what is wrong with your hormones and why they're being secreted in the way they are? I've had a patient who had such bad menstrual cramps that she passed out at the wheel and flipped her car over multiple lanes of traffic because she was in that much pain. She was taking 24 ibuprofen every single day. Once you figure out why the hormones are doing what they're doing and what the hormones are doing, you can alter that. I think within 3 months, she never had menstrual pain again and actually changed her whole career because she wanted to do functional health. Obviously, she's going to be focused more on the dietary stuff than actually being a doctor, but pretty exciting. She went from RN to basically a holistic nutritionist because she was so blown away by the fact that her doctors couldn't help her, and we did it so quick. So let's talk about what the hormone cascade looks like. So your hormones, when you're in the follicular phase, you're building estrogens. And then when you go into the luteal phase, when you create the corpus luteum, your egg gets produced from your ovary, goes down your fallopian tube, and inserts on the uterine lining. Now, when it inserts on the uterine lining, what's basically happening is it's waiting for the progesterone. If it's fertilized, it will stay there and you'll build, and the progesterone stays up and up and up. And as the progesterone goes up, you maintain that. But when you menstruate, what happens is it's not a fertilized egg. You shed the lining of your uterus and the progesterone drops and the estrogens jump up. Now, if you are estrogen dominant person, now what does estrogen dominance mean? Estrogens are out of whack and they're a little too high for where your progesterone is. What that really means, though, getting a little bit more in depth and into the weeds, is you have 4-hydroxyestrone, 4-hydroxyestradiol, and 16-alpha-hydroxyestrone, all of which could be elevated, or at least one of which would be elevated. Those are proliferative cancer-causing estrogens that are highly inflammatory and create oxidative stress. So we need to understand why you're not processing those estrogens appropriately, and you can test that. You can figure out which ones are high, and then depending on which one you find, it's either a methylation disorder or a cytochrome 1b1 disorder in the liver, the way you detoxify. There's xenoestrogens that you could have in your body. There are certain environmental chemicals. There's plastics. There's a lot of things in the environment that can act as estrogens too. So you have to test all these things and understand, hey, is the liver processing things correctly? How are you doing in methylation? What is your genetic predisposition for getting rid of those hormones? And does your mom, sister, aunt have breast cancer, uterine fibroids, ovarian cyst, fibrocystic breast disease, or endometriosis? You can look through all these numbers in one simple lab test. It's a giant lab test, but it's one test, and really get an understanding of exactly what you're doing with your hormones. PMDD, dysmenorrhea, any type of menstrual cycle or hormonal dysfunction can be tested and fixed relatively simple if you just have the information to do so. Hope that was helpful. Let me know what you think.